Baking soda is supposed to be cheap. So why are some versions sold like they just walked out of a wellness lab? You start with a very simple white powder and suddenly it becomes a shaker bottle, a fridge box, a resealable bag, an aluminum-free promise, a gluten-free label, a mind source story, or a habit of replacing it every 30 days. You are not charged extra the moment you pick up the box. You are charged extra the moment you stop comparing. You see cleaner wording and you feel reassured. You see a nicer bag and you believe it. You see a more convenient format and you ignore the unit price. And in this video, we are going to peel back each layer from convenient formats to claims that sound very clean. These are 4 versions that make baking soda absurdly expensive and 3 choices that are more worth putting in your cart. Number 4, Arm & Hammer specialty formats. We start with number 4, an orange box that almost everyone in America has seen somewhere in the house. The question is not whether Arm & Hammer can be trusted. The real question is, are you buying baking soda or are you buying a convenient format at a higher price? Because honestly, Arm & Hammer is not an unfamiliar name. Many homes have had a box sitting in the pantry under the sink next to the washing machine or frozen stiff in the freezer. It is so familiar that many people no longer think baking soda is something they need to price compare. You will think for a long time before buying an air fryer, but with baking soda, most people just see the familiar box and grab it. Arm & Hammer has some very reasonable versions, especially the basic box or the large bag if you use baking soda for cleaning laundry, the trash can, the sink, the garage, or chores around the house. The problem begins when that same familiar logo is placed on a shaker, a special fridge box, a small pack, or formats that make you feel like you are buying the more correct version. Their fridge and freezer line also reminds users to replace it regularly to maintain odor control. It sounds very neat, very convenient, very by the book. But think about it for a second. Baking soda can help deal with odors in the fridge, but it does not replace cleaning out the actual source of the smell. If there is still old food spilled sauce, an open food container, or odor that has been sitting for a long time, one box of baking soda cannot magically turn the fridge new again. At that point, the box starts selling more than the white powder inside. You put the box in the fridge, close the door, and feel like you have just handled a household chore. Next month, you replace it with a new box. Then the month after that. I am not saying never buy those formats. If you truly like the shaker because it keeps your hands cleaner, or you like the fridge box because it is neater, go ahead and buy it. Convenience has value too, but know that you are paying for convenience, not for some more magical sodium bicarbonate. For jobs like cleaning laundry or deodorizing around the house, I would not rush to grab the more expensive version first. I would look at the basic box or the large bag first, then decide whether I really need the more convenient format or not. The problem is not the orange box in the fridge. The problem is the invisible 30-day calendar in your head steadily reminding you to buy one more. Number 3, Herbaila baking soda. If Arm & Hammer specialty formats are the trap of familiarity, Herbaila goes in a different direction. Here, the package is not just changed into a more convenient format. It is covered with words that make baking soda sound cleaner than it needs to. Before you even get to read the ingredients, the bag has already started talking to you. All natural, aluminum-free, food-grade, gluten-free, non-GMO, multi-purpose sodium bicarbonate, resealable bag. At a glance, you already feel like this is no longer the old kind of baking soda sitting under the sink. It looks like a smarter choice, cleaner, more responsible. The kind of product you can easily drop into your online cart while thinking, fine, I will buy the slightly better kind for peace of mind. But this is where you need to wake up. Herbaila is not a useless product. I am not saying it is dangerous either. It is still baking soda. The problem is that when a very simple product is wrapped in too many claims, buyers can easily forget the bluntest question: am I paying more for performance, or am I paying more for the feeling of reassurance? The most notable point is the phrase aluminum-free. For many people, that phrase sounds very clean. But baking soda and baking powder are not the same thing. Baking soda is basically sodium bicarbonate. Baking powder is the product that contains baking soda plus an acid ingredient, and the aluminum story often causes people to carry confusion from that area into this one. So when you see aluminum-free on baking soda, do not rush to think you have found a clearly safer version. You may simply be getting sold a fear placed in the wrong spot. The resealable bag is the same. It really is convenient. If you like a bag that closes neatly and does not spill powder onto the shelf, I understand. But when you use baking soda to sprinkle into the trash can, scrub the sink, deodorize around the house, or mix into a batch of cleaning paste, the nice bag does not make the powder inside stronger. With Herbaila, what I want you to look at is not each individual claim. Look at the whole picture. A very ordinary pantry item is being presented as if the regular version is not clean enough, not smart enough, not trustworthy enough. If you truly need that exact bag and you accept the higher price because of the convenience of the resealable bag, that is fine. But do not buy it just because the front makes you feel like the regular version is somehow worse. Sometimes what makes you pay more is not the white powder in the bag, it is the clean-looking words covering the front, making an ordinary pantry item look like it just walked out of a wellness lab. Number 2, Frontier Co-op baking soda. The deeper you stand in the natural foods aisle, the more an ordinary item can sometimes start to look special. You walk into the natural section and almost feel the air change. Softer packaging, muted colors, fonts that feel less supermarket. A bag of baking soda here no longer feels like something for scrubbing the sink. It starts to feel like a clean living choice. And Frontier Co-op understands that feeling very well. On the packaging and in the product description, you will see phrases like USP grade number 1 pure sodium bicarbonate from a Mind Source kosher, non-irradiated. At a glance, it is very easy to feel like this is a more serious version of baking soda. The kind that after you put it in your cart makes you feel like you have chosen something a little cleaner than the box sitting in the regular aisle. But then I started thinking about something very ordinary. If you are using baking soda for a sensitive baking recipe or you truly care about sourcing and production standards, I understand why Frontier is appealing. Some people are willing to pay extra for that sense of control. There is nothing wrong with that. But if the job in front of you is scrubbing stains in the sink, sprinkling it at the bottom of the trash can, deodorizing the drain washing towels, or handling odors in the garage, the story starts to change very quickly. The sink does not read the USP grade label. That is when I see natural identities start to raise the price of a very simple item. You are no longer just buying sodium bicarbonate, you are buying Mind Source. You are buying the feeling of a clean lifestyle. You are buying the health store atmosphere that comes with it. What is interesting is that Frontier does not need to use shocking claims like miracle or detox. They do something much more subtle. They make an ordinary pantry item feel like its standard version somehow is not good enough. If you truly need baking soda for serious baking or have specific sourcing requirements, buy whatever gives you peace of mind. But for cleaning laundry or deodorizing around the house, I would look at the price per ounce before looking at the Mind Source story. Because sometimes the most expensive thing in the natural aisle is not the product. It is the feeling that you are living cleaner when you hold it in your hand. Number 1, Bob's Red Mill baking soda. Bob's Red Mill is not in this position because it is a bad product. It is here because a good product can still be the wrong choice for the wrong job. Some products make you suspicious from the front of the package. Bob's Red Mill does not work that way. This brand has a very real image. Many people trust Bob's because they actually cook, actually bake, actually read labels, and want to buy from a name that sounds more serious than the cheap boxes sitting on the bottom shelf. Bob's is dangerous because it does not make you suspicious. It makes you feel like you are buying correctly. Imagine the counter of someone who bakes. There is flour, oats, yeast, a few clean-looking bags of ingredients, and a package of Bob's Red Mill sitting there looking perfectly at home. It does not shout with cheap claims. It creates a feeling of steadiness and care, like the kind of thing a person who really knows how to bake would choose. And to be fair, Bob's has a reason to create that feeling. Their baking soda is said to be produced in a gluten-free facility and batch tested. This is not an empty promise. For someone who needs strict gluten control or is baking for someone with sensitive dietary needs, that standard may be worth the money. But here's the turn, the claim is not fake. Precisely because the claim may be real, buyers can more easily justify the higher price. You do not think you are paying more for marketing. You think you are paying more to choose more carefully. And in serious baking, that can be true. But if you take that same package to sprinkle at the bottom of the trash can, deodorize shoes, scrub the sink, pour into the laundry handle, the garage, or place in the fridge to absorb odors, then the serious baking standard no longer adds much real value. The trash can does not need batch testing. Your shoes do not need a gluten-free facility. The sink does not care how well that package matches the kitchen counter. This is the most annoying kind of trap because it does not begin with a lie. It begins with a real standard that makes you pay for that standard in jobs that do not need it. The trash can does not need batch testing. Your shoes do not need a gluten-free facility. The sink does not care how well that package matches the kitchen counter. This is the most annoying kind of trap because it does not begin with a lie. It begins with a real standard that makes you pay for that standard in jobs that do not need it. There are days when Bob's Red Mill deserves a place on the kitchen counter next to the flour, but not on a day when you only need to sprinkle baking soda at the bottom of the trash can. After 4 names worth considering carefully, I want you to see one thing clearly. Baking soda is not bad, and a familiar brand is not automatically bad either. The problem is whether you are buying the right version or paying extra for format claims and the feeling of reassurance. And now, let's go into 3 labels that are more worth buying not because they sound fancier, but because they fit better with how you actually use baking soda. Number 3, Good and Gather baking soda. Good and Gather is not the kind of baking soda that makes people stop and read reviews for hours. And honestly, for a basic pantry box of baking soda, that is actually a pretty good sign. After looking at packaging styles that try to make baking soda sound more premium, Good and Gather goes in almost the opposite direction. Target's 16-ounce box states it very plainly, sodium bicarbonate. The price is usually around 99 cents, about 6 cents per ounce. No mined source, no gluten-free sales language, no aluminum-free printed boldly on the front, no shaker, no Ziploc bag, no replacement schedule every 30 days. Because with baking soda, the more extra sales layers appear, the more the price usually starts drifting away from the powder inside. A box of baking soda like this fits the way most homes in America actually use it: a little for pancakes or weekend cookies, a little sprinkled in the fridge, a bit mixed with water to scrub the countertop or pots and pans. Target also describes it for both baking and household cleaning. That means from the beginning it is sold as a normal multi-purpose pantry item, not an upgraded version of baking soda. At least with a box like this, I know I am paying for baking soda, not for a story around it. You do not have to stand in the aisle wondering whether you need USP grade mined source or a resealable wellness pouch just to handle odors in the fridge. You also do not get pushed into feeling like regular baking soda somehow is not clean enough. One detail worth mentioning is that this 16-ounce size is just enough for normal pantry use. It is not so small that it forces you to buy it again constantly, but it is also not so large that it sits under the sink for months, absorbing moisture clumping or picking up garage odors. For someone who only occasionally uses 1/8 teaspoon in a recipe or does light cleaning around the kitchen, this size is pretty easy to live with. If your home uses baking soda constantly for laundry, the trash can, deodorizing, or heavy cleaning every week, then a large bag will make more sense in price per ounce. But for basic pantry use, Good and Gather feels like a real household staple, simple, easy to buy, low on gimmicks and not making you pay extra for a long story around sodium bicarbonate. Number 2, Great Value baking soda. When you use baking soda to scrub the sink, sprinkle into the trash can, wash towels, or deodorize the garage, the name on the box does not work as hard as the price per ounce. Great Value fits that kind of use, not one small box sitting next to the flour for the occasional pancake. I am talking about jobs where you actually have to pour the powder out, sprinkling it at the bottom of the trash can, mixing it with water into a paste to scrub stains, adding it to laundry, handling odors in the garage, or cleaning under the sink after a few forgotten weeks. Here, size starts to matter. Great Value baking soda contains sodium bicarbonate, and the 4-pound version often has a much lower price per ounce than small boxes, shakers, or premium bags. When you use a few big spoonfuls each time, that difference is no longer small. It is the reason you can use it freely without feeling like you are pouring money down the drain. I do not need Great Value to tell me a mined source story. I also do not need it standing in the natural aisle with pretty packaging. If the job in front of me is cleaning, deodorizing laundry, or the trash can, what I need is enough baking soda at a reasonable price. That does not mean buying a large bag is always right. If your home only uses 1/8 teaspoon for an occasional baking recipe or opens the box once a month, a large size may sit too long, absorb moisture clump, or pick up odors under the sink. For serious baking, you should still pay attention to freshness, expiration date, and dry storage. But If the baking soda in your home runs out quickly because it is used for dirty, heavy, repeated jobs, Great Value 4-pound is the kind of purchase that makes sense. You're paying for sodium bicarbonate and real usable volume, not for a shaker, a resealable pouch, wellness language, or a premium feeling. It does not make the kitchen look prettier. It just helps you avoid regretting every spoonful each time you need to scrub, sprinkle wash, or deodorize. Number 1, Arm & Hammer Basic Box or Bulk Bag. After warning about Arm & Hammer specialty formats, my number 1 choice can still be Arm & Hammer, but only the right version. This is the most important point of the whole list. Do not love the logo and do not hate the logo either. With baking soda, the same orange logo can lead you to 2 completely different kinds of purchases. On one side are the shaker fridge pack small packs and things that make you pay extra for convenience. On the other side are the basic box or bulk bag where Arm & Hammer returns to its proper role, a simple household product easy to find usable for many jobs. The Arm & Hammer basic box still makes sense if you only need a small box for baking the fridge or a few jobs around the kitchen. But if your home uses baking soda often to scrub the sink, wash towels, sprinkle into the trash can, deodorize the garage treat carpet, or mix into cleaning paste, the bulk bag is where you should look more closely. The important information is in the format. Arm & Hammer has large bag lines clearly positioned for cleaning, laundry, deodorizing, and household use. When you move from specialty pack to basic or bulk, you're no longer paying much for the sprinkle cap, the fridge box, or the replacement reminder. You are paying for what you actually use up sodium bicarbonate. And that is why Arm & Hammer comes back at number 1. Not because it is the best brand, not because the orange logo is automatically more trustworthy than every store brand, but because it proves the lesson of the whole video. The same brand can both make you overpay and be a reasonable choice depending on which version you pick up. If you choose the shaker, understand that you are paying extra for cleaner hands and easier sprinkling. If you choose the fridge pack, understand that you are paying extra for the format and the replacement habit. But if you choose the basic box or bulk bag with a good unit price, it can be a very practical choice. Arm & Hammer is not the villain. The expensive part is the version you choose. And with baking soda, sometimes changing the format is enough to change the entire value of the item in your cart. A very ordinary-looking pantry actually says a lot about how you shop. Some people fill it with small, convenient boxes that have to be replaced constantly. Some people buy the exact amount they actually use. Some people pay extra for the premium feeling. And some people just need something that does the job without the extra decoration. Baking soda sounds like a small thing. But after this video, hopefully, the next time you see a box in the fridge under the sink or next to the washing machine, you will pause for a few seconds. Not to doubt everything, but to ask, am I paying for the product or for the way it is being sold? If there is still something in your kitchen that makes you wonder whether you are paying more for the packaging than for what is inside, leave a comment. Maybe the next video will start from your own kitchen.